When conducting any study, the researcher and establishment must be respectful, have equality and impartiality. Everyone who is dealing with the participants should be respectful at all times. There should be no discrimination against anyone, no matter their ability, race, or gender. They should treat everyone the same, and a researcher cannot manipulate results to get a certain outcome that they want. This is shown as bad practice in this scenario because the researcher prioritizes getting the better boys done, and they should have treated everyone the same. So they should have no biased results. Also, in this scenario, they were being rude and intimidating by telling the boys to stop being a girl's blouse and they should be doing better than this. This is patronising towards the participants, which might make them feel very anxious and very nervous about doing the experiment. Therefore, in this scenario, the researcher was showing no respect to them, and by getting the better boys done, there was no equality. But if the researcher in this situation was racist or sexist, the consequences for this researcher might be a suspension due to the fact that the establishment can't take any risks of doing any further research, as they would be under investigation for racism, as this is a serious thing. If they were found guilty, then this would result in a termination of the job for the researcher. The consequences for the establishment would be a loss of credibility, and there would be a bad reputation for the establishment due to the incident. And the researcher will find it hard to find work because nobody will trust them and they will have a criminal record. But the participant for this situation could have psychological harm, like I said before, so because they would have got anxiety from being shouted at. The consequences for the researcher in this situation, as they use no racist language, would be a formal reprimand, ethical training, and supervision during their next studies, due to the fact that they were rude to the participants and had no respect for them. The supervision is so that a member of staff can step in if they are not being ethically right in future studies. The establishment might have a loss of credibility. This means that people might look down at the establishment and might not want to take part in studies due to the fact that one of their members of staff was disrespectful and didn't treat everyone the same. Also, the ethical training for the researcher is so that they know how to treat people in the future, so that in studies they know that they shouldn't be using this language and they should be respectful of the participants. Linking sort of back to the right to withdraw, in this situation, to have respect for the participants, they should have let them withdraw. And when treating everyone the same, they shouldn't have changed their test protocol just because they were running out of time. For good practice, they should have just let the tests carry on as they would have and taken the results, even if they weren't the results they wanted. They shouldn't have manipulated the tests to get the results that they needed or wanted. Therefore, the consequences would be that the participants would feel safe and comfortable, and no psychological harm would come to them, because they know that they can stop at any point. Everyone would feel included and no one would feel left out or not important, because the tests would have been done as planned, so no one would have thought anything different. And for the researcher, they wouldn't have to do ethical training or have a formal reprimand or have supervision when doing other researches, because they would have treated the participants with respect and they would have been nice and kind to them. For the establishment, there would be no legal action taken against them. Also, they wouldn't have to take actions against the researcher, and there would be no bad reputation, because researcher was doing everything right and treated the participants with respect. Also, in this scenario, 2 weeks later, the researcher decides to use the participants' data and publish it on a university portal. This is against the Data Protection Act, and as a result, the researcher would probably be taken to court and lose their job because they have broken this act of publicly giving the participants personal information, which they are not allowed to do. The establishment will probably get a bad name due to the fact that one of their employees has given this information out